They want him right away. He's flying out tonight. Can you believe it? He's going to look for a house when he gets there. I got home and Diane was calling up moving companies. But you said he wasn't serious. Shows how much he tells me, doesn't it? Diane knew. Zoe grasped for something to say. Couldn't something stop this? Isn't she freaked at the rush? Oh, she thinks it's great. It's a place nuclear fallout will miss, and she can grow lots of zucchini. What about your mom? She wouldn't care if he moved to Australia, but she's pretty pissed that he's taking me. Can't you stay with her? Please, please, Zoe begged silently. Oh, you know, that's a lost battle. Cramp her style. Lorraine, she's not that bad. She moved out, didn't she? No use fighting that argument again, Zoe thought. Oregon, she sighed. Lorraine groaned. Yeah, this is hideous. It's the wilderness or something. I'm not ready for the great trek. I could stay with you, she added hopefully. I'll ask, Zoe said, although there wasn't a chance. They both knew that was impossible right now. Nah. What will I do, Zoe thought. You can visit. It seemed a pathetic suggestion. Big deal. Yeah. Can you come over? Lorraine asked. No, I better stay here for now. Uh-oh, something wrong? She's in the hospital again. Oh, hell. This is where Lorraine shuts down, Zoe thought. Why can't she talk to me about it? Why does she have to back those nerds at school? Why does she have to back off every time? She's my best friend, damn it. Not like those nerds at school, who are too embarrassed even to look at me anymore. She searched for what she wanted to say, something to keep Lorraine on the line. There was silence. Listen, said Lorraine. You don't really feel like talking now. Call me later when you've heard, okay? No, it's you who doesn't want to talk, Zoe thought. But she found herself saying, uh-huh. Okay, we'll talk then. But she didn't hang up. Hey, listen, Zoe. I love you and all that mush. Like sisters, you know. It tumbled out fast to cover the unaccustomed shyness. Call me. Sure, Zoe smiled wryly. They wouldn't talk about it. Bye. Bye, Zoe. Hold tight, Lorraine whispered before she hung up. She does care, Zoe reassured herself. She just doesn't know how to deal with it. Who does? But Zoe was angry anyway. They could always talk before. Usually Lorraine's choice of topic, but they could talk. And now Lorraine leaving? Was the world coming to an end? They'd been friends forever. What's wrong with the way things were? Why did you have to go and change every damn thing? She felt like yelling at a god, but she wasn't even sure that at a god she wasn't even sure existed. Am I being punished? What did I do? It all made her so very tired. I'm ready to take a nap, she decided. She went upstairs. Sleeping had taken the place of eating lately. She lay down on top of the spread and escaped for a while. She awoke with a jolt. She grappled with the fleeting blur of dreams and recognized sounds that might have been the front door slamming, or the thud of her own room's door. She got up stiff and unrested and made her way downstairs. Rattling and crackling came from the kitchen. She entered to find her father making himself a bowl of cereal. White-faced, he looked at her, dark circles etched beneath his eyes. Damn it, Zoe, the front door was open. Sorry, Dad, I must have forgotten. No one was here. It scared me. I went to find a note. Her fingers picked nervously at the seam of her jeans. How could she have forgotten the door? You can't just leave doors open, Zoe. For crying out loud, look at the newspapers. Newspapers, she thought? Was he talking about that article? Why bring that up? Why was he picking on her? He didn't care. I was here. I know. I saw your bag. I checked your room. His voice softened. Sleeping again, Zoe? Don't you sleep at night? She didn't answer. If he was home any amount of time, he would know. The sight of his cereal made her hungry at last. She looked in the refrigerator. A tuna casserole her mother's friend Carol had brought over 3 days ago sat there, browning around the edges. Carol was a warm, generous person, but she was not a cook. Zoe shut the casserole safely away and sat down with her father. She served herself some cereal, too. She thought she could handle cereal. Her father was staring at her. She suddenly felt sorry for being a bitch. He looked sad. It wasn't his fault he had to spend so much time at the hospital, so much time making up work, so he could pay for a private room. Maybe if all his side of the family weren't off in California, it would be easier on him. He shouldn't let me help more, she thought, but she could hear exactly what he would say. You can help by not worrying about your mother. How's Mom? She hardly dared ask. Not too good this time, love. She's still trying to be a good soldier, but it's wearing thin. Is she staying? Please say no, Zoe thought. Yes, a few weeks, maybe more. Zoe saw the pinched look on his face and the tears behind his eyes. Maybe forever, she thought. Yes, it's forever this time, but he can't tell me. They both ate silently and mechanically. There was no enjoyment, just the surrender to physical need. Her dad had turned back into Harry Sutcliffe, the man whose wife was dying, the man who had forgotten he had a daughter. Several times she took a breath to speak, but the words died in her throat. Dad, she finally said hesitantly. His gaze was distant. Dad, about Lorraine. What? Had a fight, he answered vaguely. This isn't grade school, she wanted to yell, but she said quietly, carefully, she's moving. Suddenly, she was almost crying. All it would take would be his arms around her, and she wanted that badly. Hey, that's exciting, he said, missing the point. He slurped his milk absently. The tears stayed backed up tight. A lump hurt her throat, and she wanted to scream it out. Where was the old dad who might have said, well, tell her to stand still? He would have laughed at his own joke, then turned serious to hear her out and comfort her. He didn't always understand like her mother did, but he tried. I guess he's in there somewhere, she thought. She didn't try to tell him again. His world was too shattered for her to add her own cracked pieces to the pile. Mom would know what to say, Zoe thought. Even now she would. If only they wouldn't cut my visits so short. It seemed like she'd no sooner remembered what she wanted to say than they were hustling her out the door again. No one listened to her. I'm going out for a walk, she said abruptly. She had to walk or she'd scream for sure. She got her denim jacket from the hall closet. Bye. Don't be too long, her father called. Doesn't he realize what time it is, she asked herself as she walked up the street. Almost 10. What happened to worrying about the newspapers? The night was crisp and sweet like apples. The gibbous moon hung plump and bright. She headed for the small local park. It was a plot of land on a street corner, scattered with trees and holding a thick maze of bushes near the center. There were a few strings, a slide, a seesaw, 3 battered animals on springs that bopped you back and forth drunkenly until your backside grew too sore to sit on them. So loved to come late and wander alone after even the wild children had been dragged home. She dreaded the advent of the bright lights the safety-conscious community wanted to instill. She liked it as it was now, with the few lights making golden pools in the mysterious darkness. She settled on her favorite of the 3 heavily etched benches. It faced a gazebo not far away at the very center of the park. The pretty little dome building had always fascinated her. It had sets of steps all around like a carousel, and its open gingerbread sides were barely walls. It was always kept freshly painted summer white and reminded her of a tiny palace from an Indian fairy tale. She had heard that bands used to play there once on Sunday afternoons. Now children sheltered there when it rained. Take me into your story, she thought. Moonlight like Moonlight lit the gazebo, tracing it with silver, but a shadow crept inside, independent of natural shades. She tensed. Her hands gripped the edge of the bench. She leaned forward to decipher its meaning. Peering into the mottled dark, she saw someone within. A figure detached from the shadows. Her mouth dried. Mother of 2 found dead, she thought. It moved toward her, stepped into the moonlight on the side closest to her, and briefly she thought to run. Then she saw his face. He was young, more boy than man, slight and pale, made elfin by the moon. He noticed her and froze like a deer before the gun. They were trapped in each other's gaze. His eyes were dark, full of wilderness and stars, but his face was ashen, almost as pale as his silver hair. With a sudden ache she realized he was beautiful. The tears that prickled her eyes broke his bonds, and he fled, while she sat and cried for all things lost.